Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Preston here. So, today, this is a video of me doing a post reflection of the game of the Miami Heat versus the Denver Nuggets. And this is the finals. And this was a good game, but it ended with the Denver Nuggets winning 104 to 93. This was a pretty good game. All respect uh to both teams. Also, guys, be right back. I gotta get my water. Still gotta. All right, guys, we are still here. We are still in action. I just had to get some water because I still have a sore throat. If it wasn't for getting some water, my voice would literally just crack out, literally, just like how it literally is. But this was a good game, you know. But let's go over what these guys did. Jimmy Butler, um, he had a good game, but Jimmy he started off slow, but then he still had a couple of threes in the first quarter. But then the second quarter, that's where he started like pouring it down, and stuff like that. But I mean, Jimmy was consistent in that game, but all the other games that we've seen Jimmy in, he does do a lot better. I feel like they weren't really like using him as much. I feel like Bam Adebayo was the one who did a lot of the work. I mean, yeah, I mean, if I go back to the scores, let me just check real quick on the scores. See, yeah, yeah, I'm not mistaken. Bam Adebayo had 26 points, and Jimmy Butler had 13 points. Actually, uh, Gabe Vincent, he actually had more points than Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler wasn't really existing in that game. They had Jimmy on lockdown because Jimmy is usually their bucket maker. There's a reason why his nickname is Jimmy Buckets. And the thing is, he did a lot of work in that game. He didn't do a lot of work. He got held back in that game, and that's why Bam Adebayo, was doing a lot of in the paint shots. That's why they couldn't really like get in like well, I was about to say they that's why they didn't get into the hundreds, but you don't really see the Miami Heat get into the hundreds like that really. Like you usually see him get into like what? Into like like usually just like the high 90s. The most they would have got in this game was 90s would probably be like 97 points. Maybe 100 points, but they just don't really average out a lot of points. But what the thing is about the Miami Heat is that they have good the defense. They're really good at they're more better at defending the ball more than actually like shooting the ball. They're good at shooting, but I feel like their shooting hasn't really been it. I mean, they have good shooting. I'm not bullshitting. They have good shooting, but Tyler Hero though he's injured, and I feel like having him on that team would make it even better. I don't know who the replacement is on that team. I'm guessing it's that one Struss dude. I need to look up his name. His name is Max Struts. That's his name. That I think that dude's the backup for them. But The one thing though, is that it was a good game, and shit like that, And Greg Vincent, he actually did do pretty good because he actually almost averaged out 19. He actually almost averaged out 20 points. That's like pretty good for like a for like a type of guy like Gabe Vincent. He looked pretty good in that game. He was doing a lot of good shooting and stuff like that. But let's actually go over like how they actually did in the game. So obviously I said Jimmy Butler started off, slow in the game, and that he was really just averaging out like a couple of threes here and there in the game. He wasn't really like the actual Jimmy buckets averaging out like 30 points a game. He was on lockdown in this game. And Caleb Martin, I haven't really seen that dude do anything in that game. I literally like I was literally looking out for his number, but he was literally not doing anything. I haven't really saw him really do diddly squat really. And then Bam Adebayo, he did really good, taking his chances to shoot whenever he got the chance, to get the ball. Because a lot of the time he would be stuck trying to, he was more just trying he was more stuck trying to defend the ball. Because especially when you're going against a really good team like the Denver Nuggets, you're gonna want to defend the ball. Because Jokic, that boy Jokic that boy's like a center but a point guard at the same time. That dude is something else. You know, but Bam Adebayo was still there. He was doing a lot of guarding, and stuff like that. He was doing good in that game. But the thing is, Bam Adebayo cannot do things himself. He's like a mid-range shooter. Once he gets that mid-range, that's where he excels. You know. But the one thing I always thought, Bam Adebayo is a small center. Like the thing is like the dude is more like a small forward than anything else, to be honest with you. But he still got the work done. He also did really good he also did really good defending the three pointers. Because the thing is, they were shooting three pointers, but really the only person that was really shooting three pointers was Jamal Murray, at least in what's that word called? Um, tutorage, under my tutorage, and stuff like that, and because Jamal Murray was the only person doing that. And I mean, yeah, here and there, you would have KCP shooting threes, and stuff like that. But you still have to give respect where it's due. Overall, the Heat were doing really good just defending. They were just doing really good just defending the ball, but preferably defending that 3-point line. Because it was just more if they would easily make shots in the paint, but then obviously here and there they would make threes. But it's mainly because of how fast they throw the ball. It's more because of Jokic, because they usually always like have either Jamal Murray or they would have Nikola Jokic pass the ball to everybody. They would either they always depend on Nikola Jokic to really just pass the ball, to be honest. To like, if you want me to be completely straight with you and shit like that. And starting the second of the quarter, he did really good with a dunk, and shit like that, and it was really helping out the team, and also when Michael Porter came back with the dunk, Bam almost blocked the shot from Michael and shit. Because the thing is, because it wasn't really anything. I mean, even though Michael Porter, he still made the shot, but you still got to give respect to Bam Adebayo and stuff like that, and Bam was just he was being very consistent throughout like the first and second half of like the game, more just overall in the game really. It's just he was just doing really really good, and Adebayo in the third, he was keeping the Heat in the game. He was at least keeping them at least within like 10 points and stuff like that. But I ain't gonna lie though, the one thing that really irritates me, I'm gonna get this more in like the end of the video, but what kind of annoys me about this is that how come they were really just how come they only were using Kyle Lowry in like starting of the fourth quarter? What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. He was literally fucking throwing down those threes like it was nothing. Literally and like, are you kidding me? You could have had that in the whole game. It could have been a lot closer if you would have. Well, I think he actually was doing it in the game. I don't know. It just they need to use them a little more. Either way, shape or form, they got to use them a little more. Because in those highlights, I wasn't really seeing fucking Kyle Lowry that much in that game. For real. But all right. I was just checking, guys, if we were on. All right. So, prayer. All right. So let's make this video stuff to do tomorrow. I do gotta wake up early, so I gotta get to bed early. So, Gabe Vincent, he had a good game today. He did miss some threes in the first half, but Vincent eventually he actually started doing things for the Heat during the third shooting wise, because the thing is in the third quarter that's where Gabe Vincent started actually cranking the Heat. He actually started doing good and stuff like that. And then Max Struts didn't really do anything, but still helped the team in the first quarter by passing the ball so the team would get more points. Because he still was there. He still was passing the ball, and he was still being consistent. But I still think they should have benched his ass and should have put Kyle Lowry in. I don't know why they did that. I don't know. Did they do it? I don't know. And then, yeah. Now, let's go with the Denver Nuggets. They did really, really good, and stuff like that. Aaron Gordon, he did really, really good in like the first half of like the game. He was actually killing it during the first half. That's actually where he got all 16 of his points. But then after like that, he got hella tired, during the end of the game, and stuff like that. Because he was getting through the paint really easily. I don't know how he just malfunctioned like in like the later part of the game. I don't know why. But Aaron Gordon did really good in like the first and like all of the first and some of the second quarter. He did pretty good. He averaged out to 16 points, so he did pretty good. Michael Porter Jr. He did all right. He did get hurt in the game. He didn't, because the thing is, before that, he didn't really seem to do anything special in like the first quarter, really. He was more just kind of just there, more blocking than anything. Um, he starts off huge with the second with the second quarter dunk, and then put obviously the Nuggets on the map, well not really on the map, but he made it look cool for the Nuggets. Um, Porter seemed to obviously get hurt and stuff like that, but then he came back and dunked again to make a comeback, to show that he's still there to play, and stuff like that. Next up, we got Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic did really, really good in that game. He averaged out to 27 points in that game. Because Jokic started up heating up at the end of the first quarter because he swatted the ball from the Heat's player, and then he pretty much was just he was pretty much just he put the cherry on top, for the first quarter, and stuff like that. He did really really good, and it's really funny to see that Jokic is very tall, but and then since he's really tall, he passes over his opponents really quickly. So then like nobody can really register when he passes because he can pretend that he's gonna shoot the ball, but then he passes, and he's really really good. All NBA players do that, but Jokic is really really good at doing that, especially as a center. And when you do that as a center, that's like you could get a long ways. There's a reasoning of why they're in the championship right now, you know. And thing is, Jokic was bullying number 44. I don't know who number 44 is, but he was bullying that boy. He swat the ball out of his hands. I think he tackled the dude when he was trying to come in the inside and shit. He was literally just bullying the guy. The dude literally had no business in there with Jokic, literally. I think they quickly benched that guy though, because he really didn't do that good and stuff like that. And Jokic during the third quarter, he did a really really good job being consistent at blocking in the paint and also making consistent shots that would still put the Nuggets in the lead, which was really 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 impressive and stuff like that. And he did really really good. Next up we got Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray started the first quarter with doing a lot of assists. He was doing more of a lot of assists. Murray, but then after that, Murray was doing what he does, starting off the second quarter, banking a lot of threes. Because he did average 26 points in that game, and that's literally only one lower than fucking Nikola Jokic. So, I mean, you can't really say anything. Either way, you can't really say anything. Because he was still doing really, really good. Like, I really do like Murray. He's a good point guard. Right? I think he's a point guard. And, Murray, he was doing nice dunks and stuff, in the first quarter. And he was doing really, really good doing that. And then Murray was starting to heat things up by torturing the Heat, in the third with like threes, And he started doing that all through like the game and stuff like that. He didn't really do that in the first quarter, but he started doing it in like the second and third quarter and fourth quarter. And that's why they won the game, and stuff like that. And Murray did a really good job like stealing the ball when Gabe Vincent was trying to save the ball from going out of bounds. Because then, he gave the ball to KCP, Kentavious Caldwell Pope, and stuff like that. And then Kentavious Caldwell Pope made the three-pointer, and then, it made it look better for the Nuggets and stuff like that. And yeah, and speaking of Kentavious Caldwell Pope, he really only existed with one play in the first quarter. And that's when he missed the three-pointer at the end, of the first quarter. I mean, not like that, but I mean, he was doing good making threes and made, some assists. He made a three from Jamal Murray's assists. But I mean, in like the first quarter, he really wasn't doing anything. He only made like one. He only made like he didn't even make a basket in the first quarter, or did he? I'm not very sure. He could have. I don't really know, but he didn't really look as impressive as all the other guys. So I mean, I can't really get him. I mean, I could give him the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, he did have a nice jumper, and stuff like that during the end of the game. Because during the end of the game, that's where Kentavious Caldwell Pope was actually doing real good. Because then that's where Jokic and Jamal Murray weren't really being ball hogs, and stuff like that. But anyways, the game ended, and the game ended of the Denver Nuggets winning 104 to 93. Jimmy Butler, he played 38 minutes. He was six with he was six in four, he was 6 for 14 for field goals. 3 pointers, he was 1 for 2 and stuff like that. He wasn't really playing in that game. I wonder if he was really injured in that game because he was really non-existent in that game. Sometimes though, whenever Jimmy Butler doesn't really do good, he's really non-existent in the game, And Caleb Martin really didn't see him do shit in that game. Bam Adebayo, he did pretty good in that game. He actually did better than everybody. He averaged out at 26 points. He played for 40 minutes, 13 for 25 during the field goals, and then 3 pointers, he was 1 for 2 and stuff like that. So he did pretty good. Gabe Vincent also did good. He actually did the second best. He averaged out at 19 points in that game. He had 38 minutes, played 38 minutes. He was 7 for 14 with the field goals, 3 pointers. He was 5 for 10. So he was making 5 of his 3 pointers, but then he missed 5 of them. I mean, I believe. I don't know. I suck at math, but and then that one Strus dude, I didn't really see him do anything. He didn't make anything actually in that game, but he was making some assists. He was actually making a shitload of assists actually, and rebounds and everything. And that means a lot. He was stealing the ball, he was giving the ball to the team, so then they could do all the work. But anyways, that's my reaction to the game. I hope you guys like and subscribe. I have to go. I have to get ready to go to my go to an event tomorrow. And you guys have a good day. This is Preston. Peace out.